100,000 votes to create this list. I wanted to do an interesting experiment. So I flooded my community page with polls of arm wrestlers going head to head with each other with a simple question: who ranks higher? At the end, I wanted to get a list of top 10 arm wrestlers in a ranking system. And that's what I did. So in this video, I'm going to explain how I did it. And I wanted to do experiment because I wanted to see how far away from expert opinions are these opinions of community. So at the end, if you agree with the list, please leave a comment. If your list will look differently, please leave a comment as well there. What do you think about these kind of lists? Because I think it was a very interesting experiment and I learned a lot of things while doing it. And there was a lot of consensus at the end, which was really, really interesting. So right now, I'm going to explain how I did it. First, I took 14 arm wrestlers. Some would argue, well, these are not absolutely the best. There's also this guy and that guy. I took the guys that are most active, the guys that have competed on a super heavyweight level multiple times, the guys that are talked about in the comment section all the time. So these 14 arm wrestlers, in my opinion, deserve to be in these conversations, right? Maybe you can take someone out, put someone else in place. It's cool, but this is the list I took. And then I cut down to top 10, and top 10, in my opinion, is pretty accurate. I was very surprised how much consensus was in community about some of these. So it was really easy system. Yeah, let's get into the round one. And it's very easy. I just took names and put them in random order and put them in against each other. And then we did all these polls and people voted. It was like this. One athlete that is not on this list is Devon Larratt. First of all, I really think if he's in good health, he ranks higher than anyone else. And there shouldn't be any question that he is the #1 guy. The second one is he is injured. So until he comes back, I'm going to postpone his position. There is rankings without Devon, right? But if you would ask me, in a good shape, is Devon the best? I think he is the best. Where is Dennis? Where are some other guys? Dennis hasn't pulled super heavyweights. He just pulled John. John is not a super heavyweight. Where's Voivoda? Voivoda hasn't pulled at all. So we wait until these guys compete and then we're going to put them on list. So this is the rationale why Dennis, Alexei, or anyone else is not on these lists, is because that. Cadorette also, he hasn't been very active. As soon as he gets back on table, we're going to put him on list because he definitely gets a ranking there. So enjoy the list. So round one, 14 arm wrestlers: Ermes Gasparini, Devon Larratt, Gennady Kvikvinya, Artyom Morozov, Revas Lutidze, Jerry Cadorette, Dave Chafee, Vitaly Letin, Zaur Pazulayev, Georgi Tsvetkov, Dmitry Silayev, Georgi Zeranov, Arif Ertem, and Derek Smith. So pretty much random order. All we're going to do now is put the winners on the top of the rankings and losers at the bottom. Rule for these rankings was simple. If someone beats you in head-to-head, you cannot be in front of them. If there's kind of mix where this guy beat this guy beat this guy, and it's kind of like, you know, the circle, then I would look at the votes. I would look at percentages and kind of like if someone had more votes or it was much closer, then I would change the rankings based on that. But it's interesting and we're going to get to it at the end, but let's take a look at. So first was like this. Ermes versus Devon, which is interesting. Everyone said like Devon will always go ahead. People love Devon too much and people will just vote on Devon. I think it was like 6,000 or 7,000 votes on this poll and 82% said Ermes. Right now, if you're looking at the polls, they might change a little bit, but they do not change that much right now. The interesting thing that also noticed was if I take a look at the poll and write down results like an hour in, next day, it's pretty much the same. There's a few differences in percentages, maybe up or down. There was one poll that changed, which was very interesting, but of course it featured your favorite arm wrestler. That can happen. But yeah, Ermes wins, Artyom Morozov wins, Jerry versus Revas, Jerry by a margin of 18%. Dave loses to Vitaly, So I made a mistake already, but don't worry about it. I put him on the right list, but in the wrong column. So, which is interesting because Dave beat Vitaly, right, in King of the Table. But I think because of what we are seeing right now, people are thinking that Vitaly is better one and Dave is, and this is community, and this is how they think. So Zaur against Georgi, Zaur moves up. Dmitry versus Serrano, Dmitry moves up. Arif versus Derek, Derek at the end, and Arif at the top end of the winner's circle. So pretty much the first list. Again, there's no, the rankings will kind of evolve, and you will see how they evolve. So right now it's just like this. It's very simple list, and we go to round 2. So round 2, Morozov versus Ermes. We didn't see any changes there, so Morozov stays in second place. So Gennady versus Devon, and this was the one where it changed because it was like 55% for Gennady, and then it turned to Devon because and I feel the match was so close that I'm not mad about this, and I don't know where it is, and I think it's very close, and I think it could be accurate, but it could also be accurate on both sides, in my opinion, right? So we see, because they on the first circle were the losers, they were moving up right now. Jerry stays the same position, Dave moves up, and this is because Arif went down. Arif lost to Georgi Tsvetkov in rankings, so he has to be lower than Georgi. This is why the whole list moved up. Not any other big changes, just kind of making consensus of these lists. Sorry, messages. So round number 3. Also I thought I was gonna do everyone against everyone, but at some point there's no there's no point, right? There's the guys that are very at the bottom of the tier, and there's no point to put them against some of the best guys. And I tried to do it, but it didn't change anything, so I just stopped. At the end it was 5 rounds, and I think at the end I got most of them correctly. We go round number 3. So Serrano and Dave stays in the same positions. Dave is right there. Ermes, Silayev, this is one of those experiments, and we see it was like 3% to 97%. So Gennady versus Vitaly, and you see they change places right here, okay? Morozov versus Devon. Morozov beat Devon by 10%, stays on the same position. So as soon as Ermes and Artyom got their positions, they just stayed there, right? Which was very, very interesting. So we see Jerry versus Tsvetko, Revas versus Arif. So Revas is right here, and Derek Smith versus Zaur Pazaluyev, right? So the big change here was Vitaly versus Gennady. So because Gennady was up on the last one, I'll find it. Vitaly is on 4th position, but because he lost head-to-head to Gennady, he has to drop down below Gennady, so the whole list kind of moves up like this. Round 4, Ermes and Gennady. Ermes, I figured there's no point to put Ermes against anyone else at this point. He's beating everyone by a huge margin. Jerry and Vitaly, just to check where Jerry and Vitaly, because people always talk about Vitaly could be Jerry and things like that, and this is what people think. There's 20% chance that he won't. Morozov, Jerry Cadorette, again Ermes and Morozov kind of never moved in the list, and Jerry too right now. We see Devon Serrano. On round 4, the big change is Zaur versus Revas, because Revas needs to be ahead of Dave, behind Vitaly. This is a position where Zaur goes down. He kind of pushes down Dmitry Silayev, because on their head-to-head, Dmitry Silayev lost to Zaur. So this is pretty much the big change in this round. Round 5 was way different than the other ones. Round 5 was way more polls, because I needed to put some clarification on some things and figure out the last ones, right? Ermes versus Jerry, 93%. So the match is going to happen pretty soon, and we're going to see it in real life, but people think Ermes is heavy favorite. Morozov versus Vitaly, no changes there. Morozov stays on the same place. Gennady and Jerry, and people are putting Jerry ahead of Gennady right now by a small margin, but still. Devon ahead of Revas, Devon ahead of Jerry, and this was the big change in this one where Devon increased his position by a lot. Dave ahead of Zaur Pozelayev, Dmitry Salayev behind Dave Chafee, so no changes there. Tsvetko in position, Salayev ahead of Tsvetko. So at the end, this is the list that turns out. So right now we have Ermes Gasparini ranked number 1, Artyom Morozov ranked number 2, Devon Larratt ranked number 3, Jerry Cadorette 4, Gennady on 5th, Vitaly on 6, Revas on 7, Dave Chafee on 8, Zaur Pozelayev on 9th, and Dmitry Salayev on 10. You can check out, and I hope I didn't make any big mistakes, but you can check out the whole polls on community section of Voice of Arm Wrestling and see, you know, cast your vote. But yeah, the video is already done. Close to 100,000. I think it's in the next few days, it's going to be over 100,000 votes, which is very interesting. And the thing that was surprising to me, there was no situation, this guy beat this guy and we have to move it. At least I didn't find one, and maybe I missed. I did the whole list, I think 10 times. I was like, again, and just check and do a screenshot and then see where I made a mistake. And right now, this pretty much looks like it. I'll be honest, I'm very close to this list in my opinion, but I would have some rationale on some positions as well. But yeah, this is a very, very close list in my opinion to what experts are thinking. Experts would maybe, like, what I would change would be, I would put guys that have lost to someone. You cannot be ahead of someone if you have lost to someone, right? That would be one of the things. It doesn't matter where you are, you know. If there's no recent victories over someone ahead of the rankings, I can put you ahead. But yeah, if you want, I can do my list and I explain every position on that list. Let me know in the comment section also. What do you think? This was an interesting experiment, and I think arm wrestling is in a good place right now. We have more super heavyweight matches coming up. We will have Gennady versus Morozov. We will have Ermes versus Jerry. We will have Devon versus Gennady, a rematch, and there's way more. There's way more. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was an interesting experiment. Stay strong. Love arm wrestling.